Hello and good afternoon, I'm GCROCK, and in today's video we're going to be discussing the Division 1 Incursions. I'm going to be sharing with you what my favourite one was, and then in the video comments if you can let me know what your favourite incursion was and why. We played all 4 incursions on Monday because the Ambush Global event just went live, and I thought it'd be a good video to make and just a good discussion point. Now, I miss these incursions. They're very fun in the Division 1 and kind of something that the Division 2 is missing, even though we have some raids. It would be good if they added some missions like this, which just went a little bit further with some mechanical elements to them. So how this video is going to go, we're going to go through each incursion and remind you of the mechanical elements. I'm going to discuss what I like about those missions, and I'll be telling you what my favorite one was and why. And as I said, if you can then drop a comment down below, let me know what your favorite incursion was and why, and we can have a discussion about it. If you do enjoy today's video, please do hit like and share to let me know so I can make more like this if you do like it. If you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe for more content from me. I do a lot of Division 1 and 2 content. Check the channel out and hit subscribe if you like what you see. And before you leave today's video, make sure you go down to the video description and click on the link at the top. They'll take you to our fantastic gaming community. If you're an agent playing the Division 1 or the Division 2, you're definitely going to want to be there. So let's get on with today's video. We're going to be starting with the very first incursion that was released on the Division 1, Falcon Lost. So when Falcon Lost was first released, there was a lot of bugs that came with it. I believe it used to be like incompletable. There was just too many bugs. There's actually a bug that enabled you to complete it, but not how the game intended you to. But I wasn't around back then on the Division 1. I only ever remember Falcon Lost being a joy, and it was such a good incursion. If we just go through like a little blurb on the wiki, it says a joint task force squad has uncovered a splinter of the Last Man Battalion inside a water treatment plant armed with a fully functional armoured personnel carrier, APC. A squad of the division agents must work together to battle through the waves of vengeful LMB forces and destroy the heavily defended APC before either the LMB brings it to topside to wreak havoc or the federal government cuts its losses and bombs the plant. Well, the objectives for this mission was to reach the LMB base, destroy the APC, and you had to go through 15 waves and eliminate each wave by wave. And they drop explosives on certain waves which you have to collect and take to the APC to set the explosives and make them go off. Once you've gone through all 15 waves, the final wave being the final explosive waves, you'd complete the mission and complete the incursion. Now, my favorite part about this incursion was when it was on the Assault Global event where the Happy Mask and Piggy Mask were tied to it, because you had to flawless this mission, and for the Piggy Mask you had to complete it with no healables. Now, we used to be able to do no healing skills and flawless for both masks, and we helped so many people with this mission, so I have some very good memories, and it's what helped grow my channel in the early days. So for that, it does make it one of my favorite incursions, but we'll discuss that at the end. But yeah, such a good incursion. It's one that I think people did most on the Division 1, and it was such a good challenge. The next incursion to release on the Division was Clear Sky, and this was added in the 1.2 update. And to quickly read the blurb on the wiki, it says a team of Rikers somehow discovered and captured a Last Man Battalion surface-to-air missile launcher emplacement and have used it to shoot down an SHD Osprey coming from the Dark Zone. A squad of the Division agents must head for Columbus Circle, wrest the site from the Rikers and recover the wrecked aircraft and its pilot before any more damage can be done. This was the shortest incursion of all 4 at the end, and it was still very, very fun to do. People were actually speedrunning it during global events and whatever, and it did become a fan favorite. The objectives were simply to reach Columbus Circle. The first part of the mission, you had to breach the blockade where 2 explosives would drop off enemies, and then you would just put them on the blockade, make it open up, and you go through it. And then you got to this area now that you can see on screen, and this is where you had to secure the area. So you'd work with your team to deal with the ad control, and then you'd had to place these 2 fuses into the generators just in the center of the area. Once both fuses were placed, you can then interact with a laptop, which then deactivated the helicopter's defenses, and that would make the boss jump out, and you killed the boss, cleared up, and the incursion was over. Now, this could all be done in less than 6 minutes. We used to speedrun this ourselves when there was global events, a global event currency, and we were doing it like 5.5 minutes to 6 minutes quite consistently, and that's how good you got it. It was a real quick incursion to do. No other incursions could be completed that quickly, but it's still very, very fun. And for the first time playing it, it was quite difficult to figure out, to be fair, and you really did need, the same with all these incursions, you really did need to create builds that were set for the course, as to say. So I rate this incursion very high. It was very, very enjoyable. I know it was a fan favorite for many. Dragon's Nest was the third incursion to be added to the division, and it was released in the 1.3 update, which was also the Underground DLC. And the blurb states, the Joint Task Force are investigating a massing of cleaner forces in the Port Control Transit Terminal. A squad of division agents join the investigation and ultimately uncover the cleaner's new secret weapon, a fire truck mounted with a flamethrower and incendiary mortar launcher, christened the Dragon. The squad of the agents must destroy Dragon 1 before it ever sees the light of day and wreaks havoc upon New York City. So this had kind of like two parts to the mission. It was really, really good. Right at the start, you had to pick up explosive, open the gate and clear some enemies, and you had the 4 horsemen in the kind of first main area of the game, and the second main area of the game. And these 4 horsemen were very, very tricky. I remember this was the first incursion I ever tried with Raddy once we got to end game, and it was so difficult. It took us that long to defeat the 4 horsemen. We thought we were done after it. But it was really, really difficult. It became easier, obviously, in time when you figured out what you were doing. But after you killed the 4 horsemen, you then continued through the mission. You killed some more enemies. You come into this area that you see on screen now, where you got to like interact with switches and stop this dragon, as they called it. And it was really difficult. There was fire coming on the floor. It really helped if you had a healer. We actually did a challenge on this. There was again a global event that required you to complete this flawlessly. So we figured out a way to do that, and we enjoyed doing it flawless. But you had to do it without medic skills again, similar to the Piggy and Happy Mask on Falcon Lost. And again, we challenged ourselves to do that both at the same time, so without medic skills and flawless. And on the stream on Monday, we did this. It was good to go back and do it again, and we actually got the job done. I'm going to release that video this weekend just for a little nostalgia. I think it was really, really good, and I really enjoyed this mission. Dragon Nest was definitely one of my favorites. It was nice to figure out when we didn't know what to do, and it was just had some very good mechanics to it. And again, a lot of people declared this as the favorite incursion. And the final incursion to be added to the division was in update 1.6, which was the last stand update, and it was Stolen Signal, which was the hardest incursion of all 4 with the most mechanics. The blurb states, a local television studio and broadcasting center run by the Joint Task Force was overrun by a band of Rikers and taken over. A squad of division agents must head inside the studios, rescue the JTF personnel held hostage there, and crush the Rikers before any damage is done. There was so much to this incursion. You first had to reach the broadcast center, which was quite easy, and you had to secure the lobby. But then there's 3 rooms to go to. There's 3 hostages and 3 rooms. You could do any of the rooms in whatever order you wanted to, but we always, once we figured out what to do, we always chose the curveball room, as we call it. This is where the floor would electrocute you, and you had to defend against this, and you had to basically kill curveball where there's loads of enemies shooting you and spawning you from across the room. Once you've done so much damage to curveball, a heavy would always come out as well to try and kill the hostage, and you had to have enough DPS to kill him before he killed the hostage, otherwise you'd wipe and you'd have to start again. The next room we always did had a boss called Checkers in it, and this again was very, very difficult, but no electric this time. And it's the same kind of thing. You'd have to just kill waves of enemies, protect the hostage. This time the hostage would just be in the center of the room, and there'd be a shotgunner that would run out to try and kill the hostage every so often. It'd either be from the left side of the room or the right side of the room. I say shotgunner, but it's called a rusher on screen. So you have to make sure you killed that rusher or the hostage would die. And once Checkers spawned, it'd just be at the top where you can see him now, and you just had to kill him as quick as you could, clear the wave of enemies, and you'd be done. And the third room for me was the most difficult. It's the one that had Pig Stick in it. We called him Pig Dick. And the reason being, it was just such a pain in the ass. We'd set up properly with like the DPS to take our Pig Stick and the defense needed with defense builds, but there's so many shotgunners and they always focus that person that was on the DPS on the boss, and it's so fun but so hard to do at the same time. Is the one that was sometimes got us on our flawless attempts, if I'm being honest with you, apart from the last room, which we'll speak in a minute. But what happened with Pig Stick, you'd cause damage to him, you'd keep on swapping, you'd go to the other side of the room, you'd cause some more damage, you'd go to the other side of the room again. There's a bomb that you had to defend too. As soon as you entered the room, you had to disarm it, and enemies would try and arm it again, so you had to watch that as well. And when you finally got Pig Stick down to a certain amount of health, he would then come in and make a final push for the bomb to try and blow it up. But at that point, it was very easy, and you just had to kill him to finish the room. And then once all 3 of those rooms were done, one final room would become available. And this was where it got really difficult. So it's in this area now that you can see. You'd enter this area, there'd be 3 hostages, one at the back, one in the center, one at the front. And once you cleared all the enemies, eventually the Gatling gun would go off and you'd have to protect the hostages and not let them die. You'd do this with shield builds. Once they were protected, there's pyrotechnics that you had to explode, and there's 3 sets in total. So you went through 3 phases of protecting hostages and blowing up pyrotechnics, and each phase had a boss. So there was 3 bosses in total, finishing with Bobcat. The other 2 bosses were no problem at all, really. The basic mechanic, what you wanted to do is get the armor down, spawn in all the spawns of enemies, clear the enemies, kill the boss, protect the hostages, rinse and repeat. But Bobcat had this blue that he would do, kind of similar to your ult. When you hit your blue, he became invincible. You're not quite invincible, but it gave you a lot of, it gave you a big buff in defense. You could take a lot of damage. So his blue was like that, but he also caused more damage as well. So he kind of had like a blue and a yellow tactical link together. And he'd do a lot of damage. He would take no damage. So whenever he flashed up blue, you need to defend against that and make sure he didn't get you. Now, we always tried to complete this flawlessly, so that's what made it even more difficult. But the first time going through this mission, it felt impossible. It took us hours and hours and hours to get our first completion, and it was just such a difficult mission. You get all the way to this boss after finally figuring out those 3 rooms, and this was just on a next level. I remember the first time I completed it, the people that were helping, we were nearly giving up. It was taking that long. We finally got it done, and in the months after that, we figured out flawless methods to do it, and we would always stream and help people with this mission, and it was such a good incursion. And which kind of brings us to the end of the video. What was my favorite incursion on the Division 1? Well, there's so many memories, and it has to be Stolen Signal for what I just mentioned. Like the amount of work, like I love in games, I love a challenge, and I love trying to figure out ways to get things accomplished. And just when I wanted to help people on the Division 1, and I wanted to help with flawless missions and whatnot, and help people get their commendations, Stolen Signal was the hardest part. There's some of the legendaries like Napalm, that was difficult as well, but this was definitely the toughest challenge, kind of like how the raids are on a Division 2. You know, Dark Hours was quite hard when it came out to figure out. Iron Horse was even tougher, which is why that was kind of my favorite is my favorite content on a Division 2. Stolen Signal was my favorite content on a Division 1. It was so tough to figure out those methods, and in the end, it was so rewarding helping all those people get their flawless on this mission, which they thought they'd never get. We even could flawless it on heroic as well, which was really good. And it's definitely my favorite incursion that was on a Division 1. If I was going to put them in order, I'd say Stolen Signal was my favorite. Falcon Lost was my second favorite. Again, for the similar sort of reasons, because the Assault Global event, figuring out those methods. I remember working so hard to get the Happy Mask and get some strategies around it before classified gear sets as well. It got a lot easier when classified gear sets came out, but it's so tough to figure out. And when we could help people with Happy Masks and Piggy Masks, it was so rewarding. My third would be Dragon's Nest. Such a good mission. It's close to Falcon Lost as well. Dragon's Nest is so fun. And my least favorite, although still fun, is Clear Sky. It could just be done so quickly. It was used to speedrun, like I said, and it was the easiest incursion of all 4, which is probably why it was my least favorite, I guess, but still very, very good. I loved all the incursions in the Division 1. But that is the end of the video. I just wanted to do a discussion one today, like I said, discuss these incursions and which one was my favorite. And I want to know what yours is. Let me know in the video comments what your favorite incursions were and why. I'll read through those comments. We'll have a discussion. But now that is the end. Do remember to like and share the video, support it, subscribe if you are new here today for more content from me. And now we are done, also check out the video description for the link to our community. It's linked at the very top. Come and check it out. But until next time, thank you for watching this today. We'll see you in stream later. I'll see you in the next video. Stay safe and peace out.